Yeah, dearly beloved, we are gathered here to go to America and look at their earnings and income. Goes back to 2002, this chart. The top two, the orange and grey, followed the Great Recession ride. You can see the saddle down for the 2009 bottom, and then up and then down again. It's getting to be a classic shape, that, and that's on the left hand scale. But the other one is US average hourly earnings, and from 2007 till now it has been going down and down and down, and that's on the right hand scale. So it's gone down from over 4%, that's increasing yearly over year by year, down to about 1.5%, which we can imagine it is now. If you're lucky, average hourly earnings are increasing by about 1.5% a year, which is really not enough to give people confidence to go out and expect that increase to compound up to make any debts that they take on go away. And that's the main problem of everything. There just is not enough money confidently flowing around the economy. Right. State and local government payroll employment. The great big blue thing is obviously the Great Recession, and you can see the dates 2007 till now. When did it start turning down? In the middle of 2008. So it's all Democrat turning downness, and I find this very strange that in a way they have let this happen, that the state and local government payroll employment was 19.8 million, and now it's down to under 19.2 million. 600,000 plus state and local government payroll employees have gone on to find other jobs. Moving on to Bloomberg. Canada unemployment rate falls to 7.2% on public jobs. Canada's employers added jobs for a fourth consecutive month in June, led by education and healthcare. Healthcare, obviously, in Canada is state and local government stuff. And the country's unemployment rate unexpectedly fell, while wages for permanent workers rose at their fastest pace since August 2009. Public payrolls were up, but private payrolls were down. But the public payrolls were up more than the private were down. And you can say it won't last. You know, this just giving government jobs out willy-nilly. But I think the idea is that the Great Recession, or the aftermath of the Great Recession, won't last. I think that's the idea. Anyway, back to the United States of America. Countrywide use VIP program to sway Congress. Report. Now, we know all about this. Well, we know of it, let's say. A VIP mortgage program run now by defunct Countrywide Financial was used to influence lawmakers with the aim of killing legislation that could hurt the company's profits, a congressional report released on Thursday said. The report from the House of Representatives Oversight and Government Reforms Committee provided new details about the program, which offered discount loans to VIPs and named dozens of congressional staffers that benefited. So lots of people are going to get lots of jail time for being so naughty, presumably. Or presumably not. Over in Europe, I mean, I've just chosen a couple, but this is exploding all over the place. But Bankia fraud case could set off political fireworks. So in Spain, investigations into Spain's bailed out Bankia are descending into the political nightmare top parties had sought to avoid, with the fraud probe set to lay bare their role in a banking mess that has crippled the country. Everybody that vaguely knows anything about Spanish banking and the cajas know that it has been rotten to the core for a long time. It's not a new thing. So how far are they going to dig deep into this? We presume not very far, because I think they'd say it's not really the time to be doing that sort of thing, what with the other problems going on and what have you. Let's just do a token gesture on this one. Over in Japan, Japan's government could run out of money by the end of October, halting all state spending, including salaries, pensions and unemployment benefits, because of a standoff in Parliament that blocked a bill to finance the deficit. It's a bit like the thing that happened in the United States. The deficit financing bill, etc. Without this bill, the budget will collapse. Finance Minister, oh no, without this bill, budget will collapse. Okay. Finance Minister Yoon Azumi said on Friday, pleading for cooperation from the two largest opposition parties. Something obviously will happen, but Japan is, if any country's on the edge, it's Japan that's on the edge. The United States was pushing itself to the edge with its messing about, but Japan are doing this when they are, everyone knows, horribly on the edge, and it's just not the country to be playing these political games in. Market Watch. Iran won't endure West's sanctions. Just in case we forget, my friend, Iran. Commentary. Hyperinflation will pit people against the regime that caused it. Now, I don't like hyperinflation talk, but if you want to talk it about anywhere, you can talk about it realistically for Iran. But realise what you've got to have since, when did the Mad Ayatollah take over? In the 80s, was it? Or was it earlier in the 70s? I can't quite remember. But it's been run by religious nutters for decades. And now these sanctions that the world is putting on them, blocking their oil, which is blocking the money coming in, and so with no money coming in, so they can't spend on imports. So the amount of stuff in Iran that is buyable now is only local Iranian stuff, and there's no foreign currency coming in. And what value has the local currency? Because these sanctions are world sanctions, and they're really being pushed hard, mainly by the United States of America. So it's again, if you want hyperinflation, it's got to be really exceptional circumstances, and being run by religious nutters for decades, and then having world sanctions clamp on you as though you'd lost a world war, is possible to do the trick. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. They've got to be exceptional circumstances, and they are there in Iran. Why? They should leave them alone. Finish with this in China, and this is from the Lex column in the Financial Times. China's economy has always been a knotty issue. Assessing what is going on in a real economy with more than 1 billion people is not easy. On Thursday, the central bank cut interest rates for the second time in 2 months. The benchmark lending rate will be lowered by more than the deposit rate, and banks have the option of offering loans at bigger discounts to the benchmark. We won't go into that. This is about boosting lending, and should, in principle, be good news for investors in commodities. But what we've got in this article, which you probably won't get because I think it's behind a paywall, what's happening is that people that have some money and reputation in China can go to a bank first. Let's say first, they can buy any commodities or commodity on margin, which means you put so much down and you just owe the rest. You promise to pay the rest. So you've got the commodity technically owned by you by only having to pay a certain amount. Then you get that complete value owned of that commodity, take it over to the bank, and say, I would like to borrow that much money. The bank says, well, obviously we'll have to haircut that. Say they haircut it by 20%, but you still have that margin in between what you've paid for it and what the bank will loan you on that commodity. Then you take that money as cash and you lend it out in the black market at a high interest rate. And that's the let's call it a carry trade that is working for the people that can do that sort of thing in China. And it's on a massive scale. And it's on such a massive scale that you wonder, is there any sort of organized system going on? Because that's not the sort of system that can last. And there's another scam going on here, that in sectors like the construction sector that is under pressure in China now, they can buy commodities. In this example, it was concrete making, turning engines, what do you call them? Concrete mixers. You can buy a concrete mixer from the local Chinese concrete mixer maker, because he's not selling many, because there is a turn down in construction. So he'll let you have it on tick. Basically, you only have to pay 10%, let's say, in the first year, 10% in the second year, 20%, whatever it might be. You've got it on hire purchase. So technically, you've paid for the cement mixer 10%, and you have it in your yard. And apparently, there are lots of them. When we're talking China, we don't know whether to say thousands, millions, or tens of millions, or hundreds of millions in their yards, not being used, because they have taken the deeds of the cement mixer. As an example, many other things in many other industries are used the same. It could be a widget making machine. Taken that to the bank and say, I would like to borrow this much money from you. And the bank says, yes, that's fine, because that's a good commodity, a solid thing that we will accept. We'll give you a 20% haircut on that, and here is 80% value of that cement mixer, for example. And then the owner of the cement mixer can then pay his workers who aren't working nearly enough, because there is a turn down in the construction market, and he's just holding on for the hope that it turns back up again. And things like that, we go red alarm, bells, buzzers and lights going off. It's not going to last, and when it does blow up, it's going to be one awful mess. And again, this is on a massive scale. That's it for the weekend. Cheery pops, bye.